The origins of April Fool's Day. Picture this. It's the Middle Ages, and you're a humble peasant in France. You've just finished planting your crops for the year, but then you hear some disturbing news. The calendar ... has changed. Yes, friends, our journey into the origins of April Fool's Day takes us back to 1582, when Pope Gregory XIII introduced the Gregorian calendar, replacing the Julian one. New Year's Day was moved from the end of March to January 1st. But not everyone got the memo. Some folks continued to celebrate the New Year during the last week of March through April 1st. And those who did were made fun of, pranked, and called April Fools. Some historians also trace the roots of April Fool's Day back to ancient Roman times during a festival known as Hilaria. This was a day of merriment where people would dress up in disguises and mock each other. And thus, the tradition of April Fool's Day began. From simple jests among villagers to elaborate pranks that fooled nations, the first day of April has become synonymous with mischief and merriment. So, the next time you fall victim to an April Fool's prank, remember it's all in good fun, a tradition dating back centuries. Who knows? Maybe one day, you'll be the one making history with the greatest April Fool's prank of all time. From ancient Rome to medieval Europe, the evolution of April Fool's Day. Imagine, if you will, the bustling streets of ancient Rome. The year is 250 BC, and it's the festival of Hilaria, a day when everyone lets loose, dressing in disguises, playing pranks, and generally causing a ruckus. This celebration, some historians believe, could be one of the earliest precursors to what we now know as April Fool's Day. Fast forward to medieval Europe, where the tradition of foolery continued to evolve. In England, during the 13th century, there was even an official festival of fools, held on December 28th. It was a day of merriment and jest, where roles were reversed, and servants became masters for a day. However, the laughter and pranks weren't confined to just one day. They spilled over into the New Year celebrations, which, according to the Julian calendar, began on March 25th and ended on April 1st. Then came the calendar switcheroo. In 1582, Pope Gregory XIII introduced the Gregorian calendar, moving New Year's Day from the end of March to January 1st. But not everyone got the memo, or perhaps they just loved their old traditions too much. These folks kept celebrating the New Year in spring, and thus, they were labeled April Fools. The tradition of April Fool's Day, as we know it, began to take shape. Pranks ranged from the simple thing of attaching a paper fish to someone's back in France, known as poisson d'avril, to the elaborate, like when the BBC famously broadcasted a fake documentary about spaghetti trees in Switzerland in 1957. So, from the raucous festivals of ancient Rome to the calendar confusion of medieval Europe, the evolution of April Fool's Day has been a journey filled with laughter, pranks, and a whole lot of fun. And remember, whether you're the prankster or the pranked, it's all in the spirit of good humor. The Renaissance and the birth of modern pranks, April Fool's Day in the 16th and 17th centuries. Let's set our time machines to the Renaissance, a period of great cultural awakening and, as it turns out, some pretty fantastic pranks. This was the era when April Fool's Day really began to take shape. Now, you may remember from our last segment that Pope Gregory XIII introduced the Gregorian calendar in 1582, shifting New Year's Day from the end of March to January 1st. But news traveled slow back then, slower than a snail riding on a tortoise, and many people continued to celebrate the New Year in spring. These folks were labeled April Fools and became the butt of jokes and pranks. In France, the tradition of poisson d'avril, or April fish, began. Pranksters would surreptitiously stick paper fish onto the backs of the unsuspecting, symbolizing a young, easily caught fish or gullible person. And if you think that's fishy, wait till you hear about Scotland's tradition of Hunty Gowk Day. The term gowk refers to a cuckoo bird or a fool, and the prank involves sending someone on a pointless errand. Imagine being sent to fetch a pint of pigeon's milk. Across the pond, in England, the 17th century saw the formalization of April Fool's Day. Even some of literature's greatest minds got in on the act. In The Merry Weds of Windsor, Shakespeare himself references a foolishness associated with this day. But it wasn't all fun and games. In the strictly religious Puritan society of early America, April Fool's Day was frowned upon. Little did they know that future generations would fully embrace the holiday. turning it into an annual celebration of humor and harmless pranks. So, there you have it, the Renaissance, a time of not just art and enlightenment, but also the birth of modern pranks. As we journey through the history of April Fool's Day, one thing is clear: humans sure do love a good laugh. April Fool's Day goes global, how the tradition spread across the world. Fasten your seatbelts, folks, because we're about to embark on a whirlwind tour of how April Fool's Day spread across the globe. Let's start with our friends in the United Kingdom. By the 18th century, April Fool's Day had become a popular tradition there. Pranks were played, jokes were pulled, and everyone from the common folk to the nobility was fair game. The Scots even had a 2-day event called Hunt to Gowk, where people were sent on fool's errands. And if you think that's hilarious, wait till you hear about their tradition of Taily Day, where pranks involving the posterior part of the body were played. Talk about cheeky humor. Across the English Channel, the French were sticking paper fish on each other's backs as part of Poisson d'Avril. Meanwhile, in Spain and Latin America, they celebrate Dia de los Santos Inocentes, a day for pranks and jokes similar to April Fool's Day, but it's celebrated in December. As we sail across the Atlantic to North America, we find that April Fool's Day took a while to catch on, especially among the stern Puritans. But by the 19th century, the day of jest had found its place in American culture, with newspapers even getting in on the act by publishing false stories. Now, let's hop over to Asia. In India, the Holi festival, celebrated in March, includes playful pranking much like April Fool's Day. And in Iran, they've been celebrating Sajda Badar, a day of outdoor fun and tomfoolery, for thousands of years, making it possibly one of the oldest prank traditions in the world. From Europe to Asia, from the Americas to Australia, April Fool's Day has truly gone global. It seems no matter where you go in the world, people love a good laugh and a harmless prank. So, whether you're an April Fool or an April prankster, remember, it's all in the spirit of fun. The rise of media and technology. April Fool's Day in the 20th century. Welcome to the 20th century, an era marked by rapid advancements in media and technology. And guess what? April Fool's Day was right there, riding the wave. As newspapers, radio, and television became widespread, so did the reach of April Fool's pranks. Media outlets quickly realized that they could have a little fun with their audiences on April 1st, and whoa, did they deliver. Take, for instance, the BBC's infamous spaghetti tree hoax in 1957. They broadcasted a documentary showing Swiss farmers harvesting spaghetti from trees. The prank was so convincing that many viewers contacted the BBC asking how they could grow their own spaghetti trees. Talk about a positively brilliant prank. Then there was Sports Illustrated's 1985 prank, where they ran a story about a mysterious rookie pitcher named Sid Finch who could throw a fastball over 168 miles per hour. Readers were hooked, only to find out it was a big April Fool's joke. But it wasn't just traditional media having all the fun. With the advent of the internet, April Fool's Day pranks on digital tech companies, in particular, embraced the tradition with gusto. Google, known for its annual online pranks, once announced Google Knows, a new feature that allowed users to search for smells. Yes, you heard it right, smells. From hoaxes that fooled nations to pranks that broke the internet, the 20th century saw April Fool's Day reaching new heights of creativity and hilarity. It just goes to show, no matter how sophisticated we get with our technology, we still love a good old-fashioned laugh. Contemporary April Fool's Day, celebrating the holiday in the digital age. Welcome to the digital age, where April Fool's Day pranks are just a click away. As we've journeyed through history, we've seen how this tradition of tomfoolery has evolved. Now, let's dive into how we celebrate April Fools in our contemporary world. In today's interconnected society, April Fool's Day pranks have gone viral. Literally. With the internet and social media at our fingertips, pranks can be shared and spread like wildfire around the globe in seconds. Tech companies have become notorious for their elaborate online hoaxes. Google, for instance, has pulled off some epic pranks, like the time they introduced Google Gnome, an outdoor smart speaker that supposedly took care of your yard work. Or when they announced Google Wine, a program that used windmills to blow away clouds and create sunny weather. But it's not just tech giants getting in on the fun. News outlets, celebrities, and even governments have been known to pull off some memorable pranks. Remember when the BBC reported that Big Ben was going to go digital, or when Burger King announced a left-handed Whopper? And let's not forget about us, the people. With smartphones in our hands, we've all become pranksters, sharing funny memes, creating spoof videos, and pulling off virtual pranks on our friends and family. While the means may have changed, the spirit of April Fool's Day remains the same. A day to share a laugh, to lighten up, and not take things too seriously. So, whether you're planning a prank or falling for one, remember, it's all in good fun. After all, laughter is the best medicine, and on April Fool's Day, we all get a healthy dose. The psychology of pranking. Why we love to fool each other on April Fool's Day. Have you ever wondered why we love to prank each other on April Fool's Day? Well, strap in, because we're about to dive into the fascinating world of the psychology of pranking. You see, pranks and humor have been part of human culture for centuries. They serve as a form of social bonding, a way to navigate relationships, and yes, a means to have a good laugh. But there's more to it than just fun and games. Pranks, especially those on April Fool's Day, often involve a gentle bending of rules and norms. This gives us a chance to step outside our regular routines and experience something unexpected. It's like a mini adventure in our daily lives, sparking curiosity and excitement. Then there's the element of surprise. Our brains are wired to respond to unexpected events. When a prank is pulled off successfully, it creates a sense of surprise, leading to laughter and amusement. It's a bit like unwrapping a gift. You don't know what's inside, and that anticipation is part of the fun. But let's not forget the social aspect. Pranks are often shared experiences, creating a sense of camaraderie and shared memories. They can bring people together, strengthening bonds and friendships. After all, who can forget the time when the whole office teamed up to fill the boss's room with balloons on April Fool's Day? However, it's important to remember that the best pranks are harmless and respectful. The goal is to make people laugh, not to hurt or embarrass them. So, whether you're planning an epic April Fool's prank or just enjoying the jokes, remember, it's all about having fun and spreading joy. So there you have it, the psychology behind why we love to fool each other on April Fool's Day. It's a testament to our love for laughter, surprise, and shared experiences. And that, dear viewers, is no joke. The future of April Fool's Day, predictions and possibilities for the next generation. As we stand on the brink of the future, let's gaze into our crystal ball and ponder what lies ahead for April Fool's Day. Will our descendants be pulling pranks in outer space? Will artificial intelligence get in on the act with autonomous prank bots? The possibilities are as limitless as our imaginations. One thing is certain, as long as there are people, there will be pranks. The form may take, however, will undoubtedly evolve with technology and society. Just as the internet revolutionized April Fool's Day at the turn of the 21st century, future innovations will continue to shape how we celebrate this day of jest. Imagine virtual reality pranks that transport you to fantastical worlds, or augmented reality tricks that transform your everyday environment into a comedic playground. Perhaps we'll see AI-powered apps that craft the perfect prank based on your friend's personality profile, or holographic jokesters who deliver punchlines in 3D. Though while the methods may change, the essence of April Fool's Day will remain the same. It's a day to let loose, to laugh, to lighten up. It's a day to celebrate our shared sense of humor, to revel in the joy of surprise and the delight of a well-executed prank. And let's not forget the most important aspect of April Fool's Day, its spirit of harmless fun and camaraderie. As we journey into the future, let's ensure that this tradition continues to bring smiles, laughter, and a sense of unity. Because no matter how advanced our technology becomes, nothing beats the simple pleasure of a good laugh shared with friends. So here's to the future of April Fool's Day. May it continue to evolve, surprise, and amuse us for generations to come.